Okay, another growing up video, kind of. So, the time that I grew up, which was with Gen X stuff, but I also grew up with millennial stuff. You know, I was, let's see, this is really difficult for me to go through here. But, texting. Texting was not a thing. The average modern day cell phone had not been invented yet. I remember the brick phones. You know, the big honkers, you know, it was a brick. You could beat someone to death with this thing. So we did not have cell phones. That was not a thing. We did have a brick phone, not as a cell phone. I think it was more for like emergencies or something. I'm not totally sure, but it's not something we really talked on. You didn't talk on it, you know. You knocked on your friend's door. If your friends weren't like right next door or right down the street or within bicycling distance, or I guess skateboarding. Some people skateboarded. I lived rollerblades. I was more into the rollerblades and bicycles. So, you know, if they weren't within that certain distance. See, I also had I have a lot of medical problems. So for me, it was a lot more difficult. Because we had to worry about problems with me that a lot of kids don't and didn't. They'll never have to deal with. They'll never have to consider a problem. So there was that. Now, if you wanted to call someone, you had to memorize their phone number or have it written down. We memorized everything. Like, your best friend's phone number, your home phone number, memorized. We knew it by heart. That was part of our practice, you know? What's your home phone number? Oh, do, you know? And that's the way it was. Now, with cell phones and stuff, I kind of grew up in that weird in-between area where we did not have cell phones with me growing up. But as I got older, cell phones became a thing. They came out. And we had, you know, the flip phone. Well, actually, flip phones weren't first. They weren't first. They were like the miniature bricks. They were miniature bricks. They were tiny little bricks, you know. You couldn't beat somebody over the head with it, but oh my goodness, can they stand the test of time? They still do. Like the famous Nokia, you know? And then they came out with like flip phones. That was cool. It broke pretty easy, you know. I kind of did something stupid and got my parents very angry at me, and my dad snapped it in half, you know. That was the punishment, you know. But see, text messages and things, and Gen Xers are say it all the time, and millennials, I don't think millennials understand what that's like, but Gen Xers definitely understand what it's like, where, you know, you had to press 1 so many times, and people will talk about how if you wanted a capital letter, people didn't know how to do it. You had to keep pressing. If you wanted a capital A, you had to press that mofo 4 times if you wanted a capital A. Don't talk about capital C. You want a capital C, you gotta press that number 1 button, you know, flipping 7 times. Oh, yeah, no, it wasn't 4 times for a capital A. It was 5 times for a capital A, 7 times for a capital C. So, you know, getting there, it was difficult. You know, don't talk about if you wanted a percentage sign or anything like that. You had to press the 0 button so many times just to go through. Because, let's face it, who remembers? Who remembered how many times you had to click that mofo for a percentage sign? If for some reason you needed to type in percentages for anything. Like, you know, it was ridiculous. Now, modern day stuff, you have emojis, which is cool. I mean, we had emojis, kinda. You had the semicolon and the parentheses brackets, you know, and people still kind of use that. That's, you know, that's a thing. That's been a thing for a while. Millennials didn't invent that. I don't even think Gen Xers invented that. I think that's been something for a while, because I remember you'd write that. You'd write that on your letters and stuff. It's called a smiley face. You wrote smiley faces, you make little love notes and stuff, and you put a little smiley face or a little heart. Like, that's older than anything. That's older than me. It's well over 3 decades old. That's just what it was. Now, what I want to talk about is the tone of voice of text messages. Now, there are memes out there, of course. Memes. I still trying to wrap my head around memes. They're funny sometimes, but it's basically just a one-panel cartoon. You got me. I don't effing know. So they've got memes and stuff, and one meme that I see out there is when somebody texts okay, and then the other person's like, what did you say to that tone of voice? And it's funny, but something you gotta understand, and I know it's a joke. It's a joke. But a lot of people don't understand jokes. Some people just don't get it. Psychologically, on a psychological standpoint of such thoughts, because sometimes that's automatic, okay? I psychologically know this, but I still have the impression of when somebody says, hey, sometimes I'm like, wow, what are they angry about? And it's got nothing to do with what they're feeling. It's how you're feeling as the recipient of said text. Emojis, emoticons, whatever they're called, they make it so much easier because, you put hey, and then you put a winky face if you're flirting, I guess. I don't know. But it's psychological, If people talk to you, like, you can hear the person's voice in your head. And if somebody walks up to you, if Sarah down the street walks up to you and says, hey, what's up? Then when she texts, you're going to hear, hey, what's up? But if Jack, also down the street, texts, and he talks in the way of, hey, what are you doing? If that's the way he talks, then if he texts you, you're going to hear in your head, hey, what are you doing? It's all about context. It's about what you're thinking in your head, too. Because people you've never met, you haven't interacted with, you don't know how they would say it. It's how you're feeling inside. So if you're having a bad day, and somebody you've never talked to texts you or messages you somewhere and says, hey, if you're in a bad mood, all you hear is, hey. If you're in a good mood, you're going to see, hey. There's so many different ways to say the same thing. And it's so weird. And emojis make it easier. I didn't grow up with all that, so to me it's kind of foreign. I mean, my parents adapted better to the whole text messaging and stuff than I really have. I mean, I kind of did as a teenager. It must be a teenage thing, because as an adult, I don't like texting. I hate it. Taking pictures, that's not something we were ever able to do on our phones. So taking pictures of stuff with our phone is, like, weird. It's awkward. But for some reason, my parents adapted more. Okay, here's a great example. Okay. Working in a store, we would have people that would come into the store and they'd be like, what's the price of blank? Or they'd bring something up to the register and it wouldn't scan properly. And it's like, I gotta walk all the way back there, nowadays I think you can just look it up, but, you know, back then, you would have to walk back there and actually look at the SKU number so you could type it in. Well, my mom had this really smart idea to use the brand new phones with these brand new picture features, like, oh my goodness, it can take a picture. And she started taking pictures of the SKU numbers and just walking back up, pulling up the photo, and typing out the SKU number. Like, how genius is that? But I can't remember to do that. I don't do it. That is not normal for me because I didn't grow up. See, she didn't grow up with cameras on phones. Where did she get that from? How did she adapt so quickly? Because I haven't adapted to that, like, at all. You know? And then I see people that are really smart and they'll take pictures of their refrigerator because it's like, okay, I need to remember what to buy at the store, but you always forget the list. Come on. And who in the world is typing it out? Sometimes I'll type it out. I'll text myself. You believe it or not, you can actually send yourself text messages. Again, my mom figured that out. She was smart. She is really arfing smart. Like, I don't know where. She's older than me by a good almost 2 decades, and yet she can figure this out. Like, where is my mindset? Because I don't get it. I don't remember this. Like, you know, you go to the store and you bring up a picture of your refrigerator and you go, oh, that's what I'm missing. I still don't do that. I know of it. I've got it up here. I've got the knowledge up here. Do I use it? No. So, by the way, there's a tip for all y'all. My mom has... I don't... Man, just... Now I'm getting into rambling. Like,